listen, guys, this is going to be really your forum. I think this is a great. There's no place like it right now, where lots of different people who are around the industry who are out there selling digital embellishment can have a discussion with other people selling digital embellishment in kind of a really safe space to be able to talk about what we're seeing out there, whether it's trends or it's kind of strategies that are working, things that are not working. Gerardo, how are you, my friend?
Hello, how are everyone?
Welcome. And so that's really the goal of this space is hopefully we can meet once a month to get together and to kind of work together and have an open, safe discussion about how we can help grow the market, how we can work together to really build up the demand for this kind of stuff, and hopefully be able to create more of a.
Yeah, I'm on a WebEx right now. Let me call you back.
So I was hoping maybe we would kick this off with a good discussion. Again, this is your forum, so if you have something that you want to bring up specifically, just jump in and we can have a discussion around that. But I wanted to kind of talk about some of the trends that you're seeing out there in terms of the digital embellishment specifically. So, what are we seeing out there, in your opinion, that's a good market or something that's kind of waking up? What is on the positive side? So why don't we just kind of go around and anybody can mention or talk about what they're seeing. I don't know. Al, do you want to get started on what you're seeing?
Yeah, first of all, let me say this. When we bought the MGI device, we got it from Konica Minolta, and what they sold us was the one that does really just the varnish. We don't have the foil. So I guess one question I have to the group is, we're having a lot of success with the varnishes because we can do a lot with that, but we don't have the foil. Are you guys using more foil or more varnish?
I'll take that because we do a lot of both. I think I would say we do a little bit more foil than the varnish, but surprisingly, a lot of pieces we do have both on there. We do a lot of posters and a lot of packaging with our machine, and both of those tend to have both of them on there a lot, Al. So I would say we would be lost with what our current mix is now without having foil as part of it. I think that'd be real difficult. And we do conventional foil and we do sleeking as well. So we do have that we introduce. So we'd still have that, but I would say the majority of what we do probably has both processes, and foil is probably 60% of what we're running through there, our machine.
Well, we have, I've gone back to Konica and I said, hey, can I add foil to it? And the answer is yes. And so I'm just really waiting for, we're going to have to make a decision pretty soon, but I think it's like an $80,000 upgrade. But I think we'll do that because I wish we did have the foil, although we're having a lot of success with the varnish, but I'd love to have both.
Yeah, the one thing I would tell you to ask them about or be cautious about that we run into with the foil is it's difficult to keep things open, a little more difficult than your normal foil world. So of the three abilities that I just mentioned, that is the most difficult to be able to keep type open, and we struggle with that with some clients. It's a little kind of more rounded around the edges and things close up, and so it's a little more limiting than I would say we thought going into it. So just something you should be aware of, that you're going to have some headwinds with that, and you should definitely see what it looks like and see if you think your clients will be okay with it.
Okay, great. Good information.
Yeah, Al, coming from the commercial print world, traditional foil stamping into digital, the quality is certainly it's got its limitations. That's a great word to use. You won't see that crispness and sharpness that you're used to seeing in most cases, not all cases, but most cases, at least in our experience. But it's certainly with the customers we're using it for, it is certainly acceptable. So don't think that it's not, because it certainly is.
And Joe, are you selling more foil or more varnish in your what you're seeing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a combo as well. What I am seeing is more requests for the flat varnish and not the raised, which I think the raised varnish, to me, I think that grabs my eye more, right? That not just to see it, but to feel it as well, right? We call it 3D. But we're getting more requests for the flat. They don't, well, I can't say they. Some people just don't want that raised feeling on there. But yeah, that's a trend I'm seeing in the last few months is more of a flat varnish and not the raised or 3D varnish.
Yeah, very interesting. How about
Well,
you?
you're doing a lot of stuff on like as far as the flat versus raised. I mean, we almost run ours at the highest level of microns that we feel comfortable with, really, just because of how much more like tactile feel or tactical feel that gives it. But the flat, I mean, so you're doing that on like, I mean, we see the majority of ours comes in on like outside cover brochures. If we're doing some packaging, if it's, invitations or things like that, they really need to have, an upfit to it. But you're saying you're seeing a trend of just flat varnish on outside covers, or are you going interior text pages with this as well? Or
Andrew, we're specifically a packaging company, so we don't do booklets and invitations and certificates like some of the others might touch. But yeah, mostly it's on the outside of boxes and custom packaging.
Does any of that, I mean, if you're doing long, large run packaging, does any of that flatness of the varnish have to do with the price? I mean, are y'all adjusting your prices for how much you're laying down?
We haven't, and we, of course we see that the less varnish we use, the more profitability in it. But no,
Right.
it's not anything more than aesthetics that we can see.
Okay.
But I love the raised feel. I love the feel of it being set off the sheet. But trending lately, we're seeing more requests for flat.
And it's funny because there's cycles. These things go in cyclical. So I remember we did a survey last year, and it was the opposite. It was 2D was down, tactile was up. So it almost seems like there's buying cycles where certain color foils are hot, certain types of finishes are hot, and they cool off also. So it's interesting that you're seeing that. How about you, Gerardo? What are you kind of seeing in your market?
Well, here it's like 50-50, 50 for foil, 50 for varnish.
Mm-hmm.
But they usually come for the foil first. Now that they can see that we can do also spot varnish, they tell me, well, can this part of the document be on spot varnish and this part of the document be on foil on the same pass? And we usually do it, and we usually add variable data to it. So it's been almost the perfect product for us to be able to combine those three: variable data, varnish in 3D, and foil.
That's great because based on our research, variable data is tremendously underused in the digital embellishment community. Not a lot of people are actually leveraging that. Maybe we can have a quick discussion. Are you guys seeing a lot of demand, or are you pushing variable data in the embellishment, or not so much?
Well, we in the lookbook we did, we have our clients aren't asking for it, but when we did our lookbook, we personalized it with variable data with the person's name on the cover, because we felt like if they got that, they would be more inclined to show it to other people in their organization. So that's where we've used it, but only on our own promotional pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get too many requests for it.
Kevin,
so much.
Real quick, the Print Across America Appalachian State visit open house we did. one of the things that we were brainstorming about was, hey, these kids got to come to our facility and they're going to give up their cell phones, right? We're not allowed any cell phones on the production floor. So how do we get these kids to give up their cell phones without having an anxiety attack? And what can we do? So we built them a custom box with the App State logo, and then we put their names and their graduation years in gold foil. So we had variable foil on these boxes. And when they received them, they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is wonderful!" And they couldn't wait to put their phone. I had a custom tray inside to hold the phone. Had a couple other little tchotchkes and promotional pieces, but they'll hold these boxes probably for the next 5 or 6 years at least, if not their entire life. Just made it more personable. See their name in gold foil, and the guy next to them is different name, different class, different year, which was really cool. And that leads me to another project we're doing right now in the collectibles industry, and we're finding that the variable foil is a big deal. Not just numbering, but variable messaging. And we're doing a project now that has 6 different foil colors, but not all on the same piece. So we're doing a certain number with this color, certain number with that, and then down to a 1-to-1, and the 1-to-1 will be the gold. So each foil color is more rare or more valuable than the next.
That's awesome.
You can't do that, and each message is different as well. So you can't do that with traditional dyes. It'll just blow you out of the park. You'll never be.
Joe, I see, and everybody here is passionate about it, but again, most of the demand right now is coming from your own stuff. You're the one pitch. Are people asking for it? Are you seeing it?
This is a live job we're doing now with the 6 different foils, and again, it's all about collectability and demand, and they're going to drive demand by putting these out there like the Willy Wonka golden ticket, and they're not going to tell who's got them or where they're at, and they're producing some with no foil at all, and they're going to be sort of just the standard. But the ones with the foil are going to have a higher collectability and more rare as the colors change.
It's a great market, by the way, the collectibles for digital embellishment. It's really, I think everybody across the board that I've talked to is seeing an increase or a spike in collectibles. How about you, Tony? First of all, before I get to Tony, Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. I hope everyone here is doing well as well. Hey, Joe.
So
Happy
Tony,
almost Turkey Day, folks.
I know. I can't wait. That's why we're able to get so many people on the call today. I feel like this is a slow week for a lot of people. It's a short week for a lot of people. But Tony, are you seeing a reduce or any kind of a demand or any hunger out there for variable data embellishments? Is that something that you're seeing?
Not a ton. I second what Joe's saying, though. We have seen a drastic increase in collectible type of stuff. We haven't been able to use the MGI for most of that, though, because of the clarity issue that I spoke about earlier. Mm-hmm. So we've done sleeking on that because it does have a variable component, but they can't get over the because it's so small. A lot of that stuff's so small,
Right.
So we've seen a lot more requests for that. So that's pretty interesting stuff. I think it's great business to get into for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, let me ask a question. When you say sleeking, do you have the Nobelus device for that?
Correct. That's right.
All right, we've got that too.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, I think it's great, and the quality, you can get 4.5, 5-point type on there real clear, and it's great for the numbering, and we enjoy it a lot. But we run both of them all the time, so they both have their pluses and minuses, I guess. Depending on what they're used for. But I would say not a ton of variable, Kev. We don't get asked for that a lot on that. You would think it would be something that you would get more of. It's nice because people can brand different things out and they're not afraid to spend the money. Whereas before, maybe they would, if they wanted foil or, spy UV and they needed Sorel plates, whatever, it was such an investment. Now they could design things more for different pieces, I guess. So you see that kind of thing, but
yeah, in my head, I don't know. I see a market for direct mail, so high-end direct mail with variable foils. I would have figured that would have been a home run. Really doesn't seem like it's picked up yet. And also, I think the agendas, when you go, or folders, when you go to an event, or you go to being able to sit down with a folder with your name, or having a journal with your name in Boston Gold, I would have figured these markets would have just, boomed, or even in the invitation market, being able to personalize a wedding invitation to who you're sending it to, not just the bride's name. I would have figured these would have been some of the markets that would have found its way mainstream, but still seems, I don't know if it's coming from the printer side or if it's coming from the agency side, on understanding or level of comfort in using it. So I don't know, Stephen, what are you seeing?
So we're pretty fortunate. We've filled up a lot of time on our digital engine. I'd say right now we're booked probably through at least the middle of January. I would say, kind of like to tag along with what you just said, Kevin, when we put this machine in, I felt like a lot of it would be geared towards the commercial folks, and it really hasn't. We're probably somewhere around 80% of what we have go through that print engine. Probably 80% folding carton packaging.
Wow.
We have yet, 3 years later, actually, 3 years later, we have yet to run a true variable data job. We have done, don't get me wrong, we have done some commercial work. We've seen, greeting cards. We've seen some university recruiting material, different items like that. But still, the main focus for us has been folding carton packaging work.
Wow. That's great. Very good. Anybody else want to talk a little bit more about that? Some more trends that you're seeing. So you're seeing a lot of packaging, Stephen. I think that's interesting because short run packaging or digital packaging is definitely one of those growth areas people are talking about. Are you guys also seeing? I know, Joe, you do almost exclusively packaging. Al, Gerardo, Tony, are you seeing kind of, and Andrew, some of that as well, or not so much?
Well, I'll just say for us, if the way we use this device, and if somebody has a better way of selling than this, please let me know. But what we try to do is we have high-speed inkjet. So our main sales goal is to get a client to send us the print files for their brochure. And we print it on our inkjet device, which we can do very inexpensively. And then we add embellishments to it, and we send it back to them. And if we, almost every time we get them to send us the print files for us to do that, and we send it back to them, we usually land the business. So that's 100% our way of going out there trying to land new business.
That's great. Anybody else doing that? No?
Yeah, we do the same thing. We try to get them, try to introduce it to people. They have a hard time wrapping their mind around it sometimes, but once they do, and if they're open-minded enough to it, I think I agree with what Al's saying. I think people see it and they want it. So as long as they're open-minded enough to at least take a look at it.
Yeah. One piece of advice I would give everybody on this call is that if you ever do that with your client, make sure that you track the reorder rates. That's very easy to do. So you could say, okay, I gave him a good deal so he could try digital embellishment for the first time. And after he tried it, 70% of the orders afterwards had digital embellishment, or 60% or 90%. You can actually use those stats yourselves and arm your sales teams with it so that they can go and say, listen, 80% of the people who've tried it come back to this. And using, sometimes data as ammunition to sell can be kind of helpful. So I don't know if any of you guys can track that, but tracking the reorder rates is a great stat that you can arm your salespeople with to go out and get more business.
I think one thing that, speaking about with the jet varnish only, as Al mentioned, we don't have the foiling machine. So, but I have had 2 or 3 notable customers that I pitched this to about a year ago pass on it, and then they saw a bunch of other competitors doing it, and now they've come back and now are asking for it. It's almost kind of, I mean, I do think that especially in our industry, we're in high-end manufacturing, customers that are based in the United States with, dealer networks all over the world selling high-value items. It was almost like they kind of passed on it, and now they're rethinking that. And so it's nice to be able to send if customers in certain sectors, for in aviation or marine or in education and political, it's nice to be able to have samples of actual real live jobs to be able to send them and say, this isn't just our lookbook. These are actual customers that maybe in some cases you're in direct competition with that are using this. So yeah, I mean, I think the market has now gotten a little easier to kind of, like at first when we were pitching jet varnish, we really, like you said, Tony, I think you mentioned it, we really had to send them a sample of it because they didn't know what the hell we were talking about.
Absolutely.
Now they're changing that tune a little bit. Everybody kind of has an idea of what it is. So I think that's helped too. Kevin,
can I ask him a question?
Steven, this is your forum. You do whatever you want.
It's not mine. It's your show. I reserve my soapbox for another day. And everybody's heard me get on my soapbox as far as I truly believe that the folks that are all here that have this type of technology, I feel like there's brighter days ahead as more designers understand it. And most likely all of you have heard me preach that. So my question is this. I heard you say that you had folks that you introduced it to, but they didn't jump on it. Were those clients more folding carton type retail setting projects, or were they more, some type of college recruiting or some type of commercial type item?
This was high-end marine manufacturing. This was a company based on the East Coast of the United States, and I sent them, I had their print file, so I ran samples of their print file with jet varnish, sent it to them. They said, hey, we've been doing soft touch on their brochures for years, and I pitched this to them. They came back and they said, hey, it looks great, but we just want to keep going with the soft touch. And then about 6 months later, they sent me a quote from another vendor, not a printer. They weren't shopping us around or anything. They got a quote from like another company that said, hey, y'all should try this. And I get the quote, and on the specs it says spot jet varnish. And I went back to them and I said, this is exactly what I showed you 6 months ago. And they go, we had no idea. We didn't know what it was or what, we saw it and it looked good, but now everybody else is doing it. So we better do it too.
So out of the gate, it sounds like that might've been just a little laziness on the buyer. It's going to cost
probably. They didn't know what this was going to do in their industry. And I'm going down to the Miami Boat Show in February. And I have a lot of customers that are going to be attending that show, and the vast majority of them have jet varnish or some type of embellishment.
Yeah.
And I think the other people that I've talked to, I'm also going to make a point to go and see them and say, when you get a chance, walk around and take a look, because if you don't have this, all of your competition does. That's right here. And these are $1 million plus boats. So these are,
yeah. So
Kevin, I think Kevin's got two of those boats, Andrew. I think Kevin does.
Oh, really?
My friend, one day.
What I see and what I think is beautiful is it's kind of like the NFL. It's a copycat, the copycat league.
Yep.
Somebody comes up with a new offense, and for the next 3 to 4 years, everybody chases that offense or whatever. What you just saw, we see as well in different markets, where you'll get a market that nobody's using it, and then all of a sudden somebody pulls the trigger on it. Somebody does the extra work to maybe change their artwork or whatever it may be, and before you know it, they all are doing it. So I think that's a real success story, what you just said. And in my honest opinion, 6 months isn't a tremendous amount of time for folks to buy in from what I'm seeing.
No, I mean, it did happen pretty quick, but I was a little just caught off guard by it that, we had given them these samples, and then 6 months later, they just send me this in a spec, and they're like, hey, what is this?
Well, they actually just told on themselves as a buyer. You realize that, right? They just said, hey, I was lazy.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do the extra work. And you know what? We were good with what we had because what we always had worked. And it got me, I got to collect my paycheck this week. So they were happy. And then all of a sudden something new hit their desk.
We like those customers.
Oh,
Those
that's
are our favorite customers.
yeah. After you have them, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Is anybody else kind of seeing some of that? Some where all of a sudden certain verticals or certain industries are just kind of waking up for it. We saw a big move with cannabis. We're seeing it in the gaming industry. We're seeing it with the collectibles. Anything else you guys are kind of seeing out there that's kind of pops in your mind?
Actually, the very first thing we have to acknowledge with every customer is out of the gate, they treat print like two different items. One is a disposable commodity. Those customers are difficult, are almost unapproachable to embellishment. But the ones that treat the print like a collectible and understand the value of the print itself are the ones we want. But the majority of print customers now in the industry are thinking as a corporate would as the disposable items. So we need to chase those customers that think that the piece is that they're getting is unique. So I'm all for that.
That's a great point. How about
Tony,
you?
were you saying that y'all were doing a bunch of short run packaging?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Joe, that was y'all short run packaging, customization, maybe some variable data and things like that. I mean, honestly, as our sales team is concerned, I would love to be able to sell some more short run packaging. I mean, we've kind of got the high end, brochures and that type of print collateral, but short run packaging with embellishments is something that we're struggling with. And we don't even have to do it in this form. Maybe I could get your contact information from Kevin or something, but just to kind of pick your brain a little bit on where you're looking for these. And, I know cannabis and gaming and that industry, and we're based in Savannah, Georgia. So that's, we're well within the Bible Belt, and so the cannabis is still, I mean, it's around, but I would just love to kind of get a better view of what that looks like for you.
Hey, happy to talk to you about that, Andrew.
Okay, all right, yeah, maybe after Kevin, I could get some contact info.
I'll send you guys an intro email right after this.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you guys seeing like the rise of Shopify and the Etsy type products where people are more or less being able to create their own products out of their garage or something like that and looking to embellish that? Is that something that we're seeing on the rise when it comes to digital packaging or short run packaging, or is there something more specific in terms of what we're seeing there?
We're not seeing a whole lot of that, Kevin. We did it, the influencer boxes and stuff like that were a big hit. That sort of died down a little tiny bit. But the e-commerce boxes, that's more of a target, direct to print, very highly sustainable. So we again, that's not us. That's not what we do. We're more luxury, high end. So that foil and UV or varnish sort of ties right into our business model and what we're shooting for. But wine and spirits is a big thing for us. Of course, entertainment, anything to do in the gaming industry and the trading cards and the big players in the music business and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where we're looking at more luxury than the other stuff in the packaging world for us.
Great. I think it definitely lends itself to that kind of a market. All right, very cool. Well, listen, guys, we're coming up on our half an hour. I thought this was a fantastic discussion. Before we go, is there anybody that wants to say anything? Should we do this again once a month? What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, next one looks great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Joe,
Well,
and I look forward to talking to you about the packaging too. And I think you just mentioned the music industry. One of our new sales team members is trying to dabble in the music industry with some embellishments and things like that with regards to like vinyl records and stuff. So looking forward to getting you and kind of picking your brain on that. And then maybe Alec, you and I will get on that together. So
Sounds good.
Thanks, Kevin.
Tony, Joe, Al, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Steven, it's been a pleasure. Andrew, Alec, it was nice meeting you, everybody. And Gerardo, you guys stay cool. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Have a great holiday break. And I'll send out another invite for next month. And hopefully we can have another great conversation like we did today.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Sounds great, guys.
Thanks,
Have a great
guys.
holiday.
Good.
Happy turkey,
See y'all.
guys.
Hey.
Bye bye.
see ya.